Sufism. Sufism has been basically derived from three important words, that is Suf, Sophia and the Sufa. Suf basically means wool. Wool is a symbol of austerity in Islam. Austerity basically means simple lifestyle. Through self-denial, fasting, reduce sleep to purify heart, detached from the worldly pleasure and attain nearness to God. Then Sophia. Sophia means knowledge, and Sufa means purity. Sufism was a liberal reform movement within Islam which originated in the Persian or Iran region during the time of Ghaznavid Empire, which was around 10th century AD. It was brought into India by Fatima Bibi and Moinuddin Chishti in the early 13th century. Now let's see what were the differences or the similarities between the Orthodox Islam and Sufism. Orthodox Islam characteristic was orthodox in nature, while Sufism was more moderate and liberal in their approach. Orthodox Islam was put more emphasis on the external conduct, while Sufism believed in inner purity. For Orthodox Islam, God has to be feared, but for Sufism, God has to be loved. Orthodox Islam is spread through the madrasa system, while Sufism is spread through the Kanka system. What is Kanka? Kankas are basically the dargah of the Sufi saint or the Sufi saint ka seat. In Orthodox Islam, music and dance is forbidden, haram, while in Sufism, devotion through music and dance has been emphasized. Further, Sufism has been divided into two subcategories, that is Ba Sharia and Be Sharia. Ba Sharia, in Ba Sharia, they believed in the Islamic law of Sharia. Example is Chishti Silsila, Suhrawardi, Naqshbandi. Be Sharia, they reject the Sharia. Example is Baba, Malang and Kalandar. Now let's talk about the basic doctrine of Sufism. Sufism championed the direct form of worship to God. According to Sufi ideals, one can attain salvation through the devotional form of worship, through knowledge, self-discipline and inner purity, and with the help of Guru or under the guidance of Guru or Peer, one can attain salvation. Sufism believes that service to humanity is service to God. Sufism has been based on tolerance and brotherhood, and that is why they assimilated in the Indian culture very well. Sufism influenced Indian practices and culture. For example, Sufism was highly influenced by Indian practices and culture. For example, under Sufism, different yogic practices came into being. For example, like meditation and breath control over mind and the inner purity. Now let's talk about the various terms related to Sufism. First is Qawwali. So Qawwali is the devotional song in Sufism. Wali is Peer or Murshid. Basically, teacher is called Murshid in Sufism. Fana is basically in Sufism, salvation is called Fana. F-A-N-N-A. Sama is a very immersive ambience which is created through Qawwali music and dance. Zikra. Zikra is basically the recitation of the name of Allah, same like Naam Jap. Silsila is just like Guru Shishya Parampara that is there in Hinduism. Now let's talk about Chishti Silsila, which is one of the type of Silsila. Chishti Silsila was established by Muinuddin Chishti. So, Muinuddin Chishti disciples were Qutub Uddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, Baba Farid and Nizam Uddin Aulia. Basically, these three people belong to Chishti Silsila. Now let's talk about the other term is known as Khanqa. So what are Khanqas? Khanqas were the place where Sufi saints used to discuss spiritual matters and Sufi philosophies. Khanqa basically means hospice. So these are basically designed for spiritual retreat, education and communal living. Now let's talk about Sarai. Sarai were the place of accommodation of various travelers. Gradually, Sarai evolved as a center of composite culture due to intermixing of ideas and philosophy. Now let's talk about impact of Sufism. I have categorized the impact of Sufism under three subhead, that is socio-cultural impact, political impact and impact on the art. So socio-cultural impact, under it brotherhood was there, tolerance was there, Hindu-Muslim unity was given importance, promotion of the regional language was emphasized, and there was a dilution of caste and varna, and they talk about the emancipation of women and the downtrodden. Political impact. So these Sufis, they acted as a pressure group on the sultans of Delhi and the Mughal Empire. For what? For to treat the non-Muslim subject with human condition. They made Islam more acceptable in the Indian culture because they were basically liberal or moderates. Art. Ghazal. Ghazal were basically in the poetic form. Then Qawwali. Qawwali is music genre. Then sitar, tabla, sarangi was there. Then it gave birth to Hindustani music. And it gave birth to Urdu language that was a mixture of Hindi, Persian and Arabic. Many regional languages were promoted like Awadhi, Braj, Punjabi. Now let's talk about Chishti Silsila. Chishti Silsila was given by Muinuddin Chishti, founded by Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti in Ajmer in around 1192 AD. Chishti Silsila, they kept themselves away from the political influence. The disciples of the Chishti Silsila were, or basically the disciple of the Muinuddin Chistis were Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, Nizamuddin Aulia, Nasiruddin Mahmud, Chirag Dhelvi. Now let's talk about the Suhrawardi Silsila. Suhrawardi Silsila was founded by Bahauddin Zakaria. Unlike Chishti Silsila, in Chishti Silsila they kept themselves away from the political influence, but Suhrawardi Silsila, they accepted the lucrative post under the Delhi Sultanate. Now let's talk about Qadiri Silsila. Qadiri Silsila was founded or established by Abdul Qadir. Dara Sikhoe, the oldest son of Shah Jahan, belonged to Qadiri Silsila. Dara Sikhoe was a very tolerant Muslim. His two important works are Sar-e-Akbar and Majb Bahrain. Dara Sikhoe was defeated by Aurangzeb and he was killed. Now let's talk about Naqshbandi Silsila. Aurangzeb belonged to this Naqshbandi Silsila. Naqshbandi Silsila was founded or established by Bahi Billah